Well, here we are, another beautiful day in the middle of what I will refer to as mud season, and it's time to come up with a better way to clean up this barn. So we have about 2 months, maybe 3, left of what I'll refer to as mud season. We get a lot of rain this time of year, and anytime you do anything that involves taking the tractor in and out of the barn, you bring back a whole lot of mud on the tires of the tractor and on any implements, especially if I use the box blade. That thing will bring back a wheelbarrow load of mud every time I bring it in. And the problem is you can sweep it out because thankfully we're on concrete here, but it gets pretty heavy. And it can actually be somewhat time consuming to sweep out because you can only take a little bit at a time out. So I have been meaning to come up with a better way of doing that. And today we're going to try to put that into play. So I wanted to use something involving the tractor to push the mud out, just so hopefully this can become a quicker and far less painful endeavor. And something like the box blade would be great, except that you don't just want to take the box blade and scrape it across the concrete. It's going to mark the concrete. I mean, eventually you do it enough, it'll tear it up. That just won't be any good for anything. So then I thought, they make pieces of plastic for plow blades, for snow plows. What if I could take some pieces of plastic for plow blades and mount them to the bucket for the tractor? And we have the bucket, nice flat edge on here. If I could mount these to the bucket, then that would give me a piece of plastic scraping across the concrete, and dirt would go into the bucket and we could take it out. So that's what we're going to try to do today. We're going to try to get this mounted. Now, because I'm cheap, we have 2 pieces of plow blade edge here. Why did we do that? Well, you can buy just one, and that's great. This is a 84-inch bucket. To buy an 84-inch or wider plow blade edge would have cost me something like $400 minimum. I tried looking around at any number of different places, but the best I could find was about $400. The moment you go below that in size, the prices get a lot better. These are 48-inch pieces, and they are, let me see if I remember correctly, these are about $80 a piece. So tremendously better, 2 of these for $160 versus 1 piece for $400 plus. So tremendously better. Now, is this the most ideal thing ever? No, and it's pretty thin. So we're going to see how well this works. Hopefully this is enough. Again, we're not trying to actually plow snow on driveways or anything long like that. All we're trying to do is push dirt across a smooth concrete floor without damaging the concrete floor or damaging the bucket edge. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take 2 of these, we're going to put them on something like this, and we'll use the holes that already exist in the bucket where you would come and you would put teeth. We'll use those same holes to mount these on here. You may have noted, if anyone's doing the math there, that this is an 84-inch bucket and these are 48-inch pieces, meaning these pieces are longer than this bucket, and that is absolutely true. Each piece is going to stick off the end of the bucket by about 6 inches. And for this experiment, I'm going to let them just stick off the end, so be it. If for some reason it becomes a problem, I'll cut them down. But I think we're just going to let them stick off the end. We'll get an extra, 6 inches on each side of stuff we can push, hopefully. So first things first, I need to get this bucket measured, get the center designated, and get these put in place so we can try to, clamp them down so we can start potentially drilling some holes. Two things that I've recently found how wonderful they are. These paint pens for welding, just fantastic. I can't believe how much of an idiot I was and spent so much time marking steel with a pencil. I mean, this is just so incredibly much better. So we've got our center line here, and that's where we're going to make the 2 plates meet. And then what we really want to do is we want these pieces of plastic to stick out from the actual bucket edge by about 1/4 inch. And it just so happens I have an extra piece of 1/4 inch plate steel laying around. So we're going to use that as our spacer or thing to check that we have a 1/4 inch. We just need to make it so that it's flush with the edge. Now that we've got this one in place with the clamps, we'll get the drill in here, drill some holes, and get some bolts put in there and see how well it mounts. We're actually going to be using a pretty big drill. This is actually a 5/8 drill bit, and we're going to be using 5/8 bolts. Not because I feel that it needs that much strength, but because the holes here in the bucket are actually 3/4, and I probably would have preferred to get 3/4 bolts just to make it easy, but It's going to be okay. It's actually going to be, I think, good that we're going to have about that 1/8 inch play in the hole, because it means that the way these will sit, if for some reason they come out not perfectly even when I get them mounted, when the bucket pushes down on them, they should have a little bit of play to push back on one end or another, so that'll help even them out. I think. We'll see how it goes. All right, so we got our middle 3 holes in. I'm gonna go grab some bolts, put bolts in those 3, then we can take the clamps off, do the last 2, and then we'll have one side mounted. So what I'm actually using to put this on, we've got a bolt, again, 5/8 bolt. I believe these are 2-inch bolts. And putting a washer on the bottom side, that's the side that contacts the plastic, just because, you know, plastic, not as strong as metal, you know, give it a little bit more to grab there. On the top side here, on the side that meets the inside of the bucket, I'm actually sticking a lock washer before the nut, only because I just generally like to put lock washers on things. I feel like it helps keep vibration from moving stuff off. I also figure that, am I going to leave this on all the time while I use the bucket and such? No, of course not. We're not going to use this when we're using the bucket to move dirt and stuff. We're going to take it off. But the rest of the time, if I have to use the bucket just to carry some things and I don't need to remove it, it'd be nice if it can take the vibration of, you know, running around the field on the front of the tractor and stuff if it needs to. So lock washers, just kind of nice to do. So we got this one on, feels good, nice and stable. So we'll get the other one put on and then we get to try this thing. Well, there we are. It feels pretty good. Center feels like it's, you know, pretty even. These edges, of course, you know, there's some motion to those where they stick out past the last bolt, but that's okay. We're not that worried about it. There's no motion this way, which is the way that matters. So that's okay. So let's get it down on the floor and see how well it pushes dirt. Well, I'm pretty happy about that. That seems okay. I mean, you know, obviously it's not as perfect as if I had manually swept the whole thing, but now, after pushing all that heavy dirt out, I could sweep this thing in 10 minutes and be good. So that'll definitely be a time saver. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to put it on and take it off, but like I said, unless I'm actually gonna use this bucket to do any kind of like dirt moving and dirt digging, I'm gonna leave it on. So the vast majority of the time, it'll just stay on because I don't use the bucket every day. In fact, it's the hay fork that ends up on there far more than the bucket these days. So I think this is gonna be pretty good. We're gonna, you know, we'll keep going. The good thing is the more we use it, the more it'll actually wear and the edge will actually, you know, better conform to the surface in here. But either way, I can't complain. That was pretty good. I mean, I did in, you know, probably 10 to 15 minutes what has previously taken me close to an hour because of having to move small amounts of dirt at a time. So totally worth it. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's the end of this project. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming up. We got some tree cutting to do. I got to make a couple equipment carts, and I got to try to get the mineral feeder that I built almost a year ago now. Man, I built that thing a long time ago. Get that thing working. It's been sitting out and it's been tested in the rain and it's fine, but I got to build better legs for it, and I'm going to try to get a different top for it. So those are coming soon. Hopefully we'll have those in the next week or two and we can get to that. But until then, we'll see you soon.